Let's kick off with the first questions to you, Victor, actually. I'm sure you're not in a medieval castle, but we'll
Very tiny bedroom in London.
well, at least it's in London, greatest city in the world, apparently. So let's crack on. So I'm sure most of us are aware of, what happened, as Sam alluded to, with GME and the high volatility markets that we all saw a few weeks ago. So I guess the first question is probably some of the burning questions that our customers and community may have here. So just in terms of, I know it's sort of been a few weeks now, but there is some trickle down in what happened currently that we're still seeing here at Freetrade. So if you could just give us some insight into how we've been tackling that following the spike in new customers over the past few months, and maybe some insight into our approach to customer service and where we are currently at.
Okay, first of all, I expected a very hard-hitting question from Sergey to get that I have in my notes. But let me tackle that question first, and then I guess we can come to the hard hitters. So so the whole GameStop situation happened a month ago, right? So one of the updates I have, I just wanted to talk about customer service, because we are reading every single post on the forum that's about customer service. We are discussing all of them, and we are structuring to address all of them in a scalable manner, right? So we are still not delivering the service that that we want to deliver to you. So let me just hold our collective hand up and say that it's very clear that's not where we want to be in terms of customer service. So we've taken a lot of steps, and we think in the next couple of weeks we'll be getting back to business as usual, but it's very painful still for our customers. A little bit of anecdote: I started my morning by calling up a very nice gentleman who has very high amounts invested in his Freetrade account, and he reached out to us, specifically to Adam, saying that, well, I'm a Plus member and I have not heard back for 10 days. So just wanted to share that transparently, because as soon as I saw that message, he actually kindly attached his phone number, so I called him up. He was very surprised. I guess maybe my accent may have contributed, but we had a very, very nice chat about, honestly, this is not the service that we want to deliver to you. I apologized to him, and I laid out the steps that we are taking to scale customer service, because that's the point we are at in our journey. We are not a little startup anymore. It's, we need to build serious structures and processes to service our customers. So some of those processes and structures include that there is very different queues now, with very customer queues, customer contact queues with different response times. When it's about your money, when you deposit money with Freetrade, in some of the cases, in a small number of cases, that money does not arrive right away. There are technical reasons for that. There are reasons like your name does not match. What's your name in your bank account does not match your name on your Freetrade account. Maybe you have a joint account, various reasons, right? And Duncan will talk about a little bit about that, because there's product level improvements that we are introducing as well. But that is an example of a query we take very seriously. So you should never feel that your money is not safe or it's in the ether. It never is. It is always safe. Very painfully, sometimes it does not reach your account as you would expect. So those queries we answer really fast, and you should hold us to that. And honestly, personally, email me if you are not hearing back within a day on those queries. There are other queries that are less important. We are somewhat deprioritizing them, and we have different KPIs against all of these different customer queries. So we have started implementing these KPIs as like a proper data dashboard, and the customer service team at Freetrade, they are some of the hardest working people at Freetrade. I could not appreciate their work more, and they take the brunt of all the customer frustration. That hard work will be coupled with certain processes and database improvements, and you should fully expect that we are going to get back to business as usual in the next couple of weeks. So that's the update I have on customer service. I'd love to say that, hey everyone, like everyone gets a response within an hour. Well, that is the target for Plus members, for starters. Like within the next couple of weeks, every Plus member should get a response within an hour. That's what we target now. But yeah, it's still going to take some time to get there. So that's the honest feedback I have for you. I appreciate everyone's patience. I've chatted with a lot of very kind people who were very understanding, but some people are not so understanding, and I appreciate that as well. We are a very large service right now. I know people track our user numbers very much. So yeah, we touch a lot of lives, and we have to deliver for them. So that's the update I have.
Thank you. Thanks, Victor, for the transparency. Adam, go for it.
On that. So from day one, we used Intercom so that if our customers wanted to reach Freetrade, they could literally text us in real time. And usually the person who was on the other side of that was Victor. And then secondary was me. And then we hired Gemma, and that was 2018. We've reached a point where that doesn't scale. And we're doing our absolute best to make sure that we're rejigging it to deliver for our customers. So that's the only other thing I would add. So for free customers, some of those conversations, they went from kind of live chat, and that was the expectation, and we didn't, deliver on that expectation. So we've moved that to email. So that might be multiple days. And then we're trying to get back to live response for our Plus customers, our Plus members, as soon as we possibly can. So that's it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. And I think, Victor, you actually gave me a bit of insight into your next question, which was about some of the numbers. So I know some of the folks on the community really love the nitty gritty and have asked some questions on numbers and specifics. So we have Eden here who asks, can we share some numbers? How's the SIP launch going? And he also asked, how are the other products doing in terms of numbers of customers? So this is GIA, ISA, and Plus intake. So yeah, I'm not sure how much you want to go into, but just to give them some insights into that.
Yeah, let's go into that. And honestly, I love many things about our community. There's like so many things to love, and their level of understanding of our product and sort of caring for the product and tracking the numbers and sort of appreciating what we are doing is way beyond. I talk with a lot of journalists, and usually I find that their understanding of what we do tends to be a little bit superficial. We try to educate them. Anyway, not to address the question. Let's address the question. So SIP. Honestly, SIP is doing super well. We have not opened it up to the fully as a fully available account you can just sign up for. That's painful. It's a super good product, which honestly, on second thought, we should have launched earlier. That's what I think. We have seen multi-million pound transfers coming through. It's going super well. The reason we have not opened it up, there is still a wait list. We are adding people in batches, because we provide a white glove, what we call internally a white glove service for our customers. So some of our customer service team members take care of these people signing up. They arrange their transfers from their previous pension pots, kind of take away the burden from them. That's not a service that we can fully provide right now for everyone right away, because we are dealing with all the customer service context that we have to support. But that's the update on SIP. And the other interesting one is Plus. In terms of GIA, I saw, honestly, you guys are tracking the numbers. So, check out the related thread. It's easy to extrapolate. But in terms of Plus, we've seen a literal hockey stick around GameStop, and a very meaningful percentage of our customer base is actually a Plus member now. And the interesting thing is that their behavior is very different from, let's say, the average customer that we have on Freetrade. So their behavior is very good. From our perspective, they invest very regularly. They invest huge amounts compared to our regular customers. Sometimes it's almost like too good. Sometimes we would see them, making trades, maybe up to 10 trades sometimes, depending on the individual person per month. So they are very, very active users. Hopefully that satisfied the question somewhat, the thirst of Intel.
Great, yeah. So switching tack a bit from the UK and into market expansion. So many of you will have seen the news recently about our Australian office, and we have our first French team member, Romain's on the call just down there. Definitely it's happening, and it's very exciting, and we can't wait to be in more countries. But I just wanted to ask you, Adam, to maybe set a bit of context around the market expansion so far, what's been happening, and then there's 2 or 3 specific questions around that I can ask you after.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Sam. So I've read these forums. I'm a community member as well, and I'm going to defer the kind of strategy bit to Victor, who's leading our growth efforts in Europe. But even just to recognize, like Sam, you're to me, I'm a little guy from Ontario, Canada, coming to the UK. I felt like coming to London. I was coming to the capital of the world, really. Certainly the capital of Europe when I came over 6 years ago, about or so. And then you, Sam, like you're Scottish, but you're also, I think, like part French and part Italian, and it's like that's Europe for me, and that's like kind of our community and our generation really in Europe. So I don't really like I don't anchor in this whole Brexit thing and whatever. Europe is our home market, and we're solving for it. There's been some challenges along the way. There's been some maybe me hoping that British politicians would be more pragmatic in negotiations, but whatever. And we're going to be in Europe this year, and our kind of dual citizenship is Swedish. So we're going to be a British or Anglo-Swede or whatever you want to call it company very, very soon. And if you're French, if you're German, if you're Italian, you're going to be opening up a Swedish stockbroker account with Freetrade. That's what's going to happen in the next 3 months or whatever it is. So that's the framing I wanted to give, just to say, like, this is Freetrade is Europe. It always has been, and it will be in 2021. Victor probably has a little bit more like tactical guidance and maybe a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good high-level view. So when Adam started this company, when I joined him, we always thought about this as a European company, not necessarily a UK company. I certainly feel like the same way as Sam. I feel really European. I originally come from Hungary, but that's just detail. We need to be pan-European. And in terms of tactical stuff, there are different aspects to this. It's a fairly complex thing to go into Europe. I think maybe on the regulation side, that's like one aspect. I don't know if maybe Duncan wants to go into more detail. It was fairly covered by Adam. I think there is the aspect of getting the product ready, which he certainly has things to say because he's been running that, and it's really complex. I'm seeing we are in the process of selecting European stocks that are we can support operationally, technically. A lot of stocks, I can promise you that it's fairly complex to add them and get the product ready for Europe, but we are doing it. And there is the marketing aspect, right? So we want to go to these markets, and we want a lot of customers. So the work starts now. We already have a country launcher operating in Paris, actually. That waitlist has been going up really massively since he relaunched the sort of website experience, how you sign up for the waitlist and all that. You will see a French newsletter, French community, and very specific things to the French market that we know they will appreciate and help us create the local community. So there is a lot of things on the marketing side that we do to prepare the market and earn at least tens of thousands of customers from the get-go, and then take it from there and basically be the solution in the market that everyone by default thinks of when they want to invest. That's what we will achieve. Duncan, I mentioned.
Great.
Sorry, Sam.
No, go ahead.
Do you want to chime in about the European?
Yeah, sure. I guess what I was thinking was when we do this, I mean, you have seen this with our Invest platform 12 months ago, which we launched onto. Put a lot of time, a lot of effort into doing that because we strongly believed it was the right thing for free trade and its long-term future to build that proper foundation of our own trading platform that would support us for years ahead. And that's proven to be the case. It's worked brilliantly over the last 12 months and certainly over the last 2. Europe is not a dissimilar story to us. So what we want to make sure we're doing from the product point of view and how we build the trading platform is to do it properly. So that comes with extra complexity. It comes with something that takes a bit more time, but we firmly believe that will underpin our trading platform, both for Europe and in future as we expand beyond that. In terms of doing it properly, connecting into the different trading venues, having membership in European clearinghouses, etc. I won't go into the nitty-gritty of it, but I guess fundamentally just to say that we're putting in the hard work, the hard graft right now on this because we want to get it right. We want to be able to give people access to the same share prices that the market makers and institutions are getting. We believe you guys should get that as well. That takes a bit more time than if we took the easiest possible route, but it also gives us the longevity as a business to grow and to support what we try and do in the future.
Great, and there is a follow-up on expansion. I'm not sure who wants to take it, but it's around Australia. So why Australia, and is that happening before Europe and things like that?
Australia, yeah. So I saw the comments like, oh, Australia before Europe. It's like, no, that's not the case. Australia's not going to be before Europe, but we've legitimately started building a team in Australia. So what do? Do we try and do that in stealth? Or do we try and spread the word and attract great talent? And we took option B. That's kind of the story. We want to be in Australia as soon as possible. We genuinely do. And there are some other markets we want to be in very soon too. But Europe is our focus. 2021, the next markets that are coming on are all EU markets. So I should be clear there. But if you're Australian and you want to join the mission, we're hiring.
Let's go into it. Okay, so I think it was Sam actually, maybe late Jan. Sam, he sort of tweeted on socials the 2021 roadmap with the 3 dots. I'm not sure if many of you remember that. If you do, say "I" in the chat. But there was some great reception on that. And Duncan, I think the guys are waiting. They want to know if there's any teasers and what does those 3 dots actually mean. Give us a taste of that.
So thanks for that, Sam. I think late Jan, quite a lot has happened since late Jan. And what I would say is that, my best laid plans coming into the year took a bit of a switch when it came to the stuff that happened in Jan. And as you've heard, there's a tail of it that we're still working through now. So, I mean, fundamentally, we were working at this level. All of a sudden, we're now at this level, and that was almost overnight. So that's materially different to what we're doing, and that's awesome, right? That's what we want. We want growth. We don't necessarily expect it to happen overnight quite like that, but growth is great, and it's wonderful to see the amount of trust that people are putting in the free trade platform, and that the free trade platform is up to the challenge. But that doesn't come without a lot of effort and a lot of time and investment, and our engineers have put in some remarkable work, and our customer operations, as Victor said earlier. But what we're trying to do is just look at a bit of a reevaluation of some of the things that have come out of that, and spend a bit of time focusing on how we really coalesce around some of the things that we know are causing some problems, because those problems become slightly amplified as you double in size and 10x the number of investments that are going through the platform. And like the one that Victor touched upon earlier is around your cash, right? So you trust us with your cash. Every time you come onto our platform and you say, I want to give you some of my money because I want to invest it, and I'm going to trust Freetrade to invest it through you. Obviously, that's super crucial to you. It's super crucial to us. And it's an area that we know that we want to improve upon and basically make it so that you always know where your money is. There should never be a time where you don't. So in that space of depositing money, withdrawing money away from the platform, the point that I personally think, like, if you had a graph of your trust in Freetrade, that's the point. That's the peak. That's the bit at which it's like, if anything, let me know where my money is. I should always know where it is. No problem at all. As Victor said, it's never a loss. It's never in the ether. It's always somewhere, but we need to give better feedback on exactly where it is. So we're doing some work around that because it's one of the key areas that you feed back on. Two sides to that. One really is about how do we make it quicker. So most times, the vast majority of times, that there's not a problem with the deposits. So how do we make sure that's in your hands and able to be invested as quickly as possible? But the second time is, there are occasions when, for a number of different reasons, that money doesn't arrive, or it does arrive, but it takes longer. Sorry, I should say. And it's in those situations that we want to make sure we're giving as much feedback as possible. And the principle we're following really within the product team in particular is saying, like, whenever I need to know where my money is, I can always find out where my money is. So if it, for whatever reason, maybe a reference number's been put in incorrectly, whatever the cause is, you should always be able to see that it's somewhere and it's happening and it's being processed, etc. So a little bit of a change of focus in that regard. But we're doing that alongside some of the other work that I've spoken about a second ago around Europe. So still keeping that roadmap moving ahead, still looking to drive the European trading really, really quickly, but also want to make sure that we're just leveling up on some of the key areas of trust that I mentioned.
How aggressive are the timelines, Duncan, on that deposit bit?
Like yesterday, in terms of that, it couldn't be more crucial. So it's something that we're working on. We've been working on it for the last, certainly for this sprint that we're working at the moment. We're working 2-week sprints, but we should be having continual improvements, both in terms of how deposits are received and how withdrawals are processed, but also in terms of just the journeys that you go through on the product, on the actual mobile app. That should be happening constantly over the next couple of weeks.
You've got it here, guys. The next couple of weeks. Duncan said it. Thanks, Duncan, for that. I think on the topic of sort of deposits, payments, and improvements on that light. So we've got a question on how is the auto investing development progressing, and what are we looking like with timelines, Q2, Q3, or
yeah.
such?
So, I mean, this is autopilot, as we tend to call it here. It's the thing that I know Adam said this before, but I feel very much the same. It's the thing that I'm really excited about. I think he and I have both said that it's the thing that we want to add to the product as soon as we can do. So for those who don't know, I mean, fundamentally, this is about building that pot or portfolio of stocks that you automatically invest into regularly, that balances, rebalances to make sure you're in the right weighting, the right profile that you're setting up at the outset. And so it's something that, because of obviously what I've said a second ago in terms of us looking at our priorities at the start of the year, it's something that isn't being worked on immediately right now. I'll be transparent on that. It's not something that we're building today, but it is extremely high on the list of priorities and something that I have on the roadmap for. Well, we started looking at it from a design perspective, but I want that to scale up as we go into the next quarters. So it's definitely something that we're looking to pull in. And I think it doesn't just stop there. It's not just like a one-time delivery and we're done. It's something we want to keep evolving. Really, in terms of, I think the autopilot's like that first version of it. That's just getting that basic feature in there that allows you to put in that regular investment is step one. we're looking at like further ahead, full self-drive mode, really taking the hands off, just letting the Freetrade product take the reins for you and really do the driving on your behalf. But the other side of that I'm also quite passionate about is, and I brought this up in a board meeting the other day, is kind of pro mode, if you like. So the opposite end of that. And the analogy that I used is if we're shamelessly stealing some Tesla names in autopilot and full self-driving mode, the opposite of that is like the pro, where I want a sports car, I want to be able to feel the road, I want to be able to take control, and we know we have those people, we know that's a really important market to serve. So how do we support them as well? How do we give the best possible tools, the best data that we can do? So you can choose, or you can do both. You can have some of it which is going into an automatic allocation of a portfolio, or multiple auto allocations of portfolios, or you can take control and take the reins back and say, do you know what, I really want to drive this one. I want to have the data that allows me to spot those stocks that I'm interested in and find those opportunities and really get into the nitty gritty of it. So both things that I think are really important to us, both things that hopefully it's clear that I'm certainly super excited about. I don't have timelines to give you right now on that, but as I say, it's one of the key things for our proposition over the rest of the year.
Thanks, Duncan. Thank you. That was a popular question there in the forum, so I'm sure people are happy with that answer. So on to another sort of product question that we have here from Mike. He asks, can we get an update on the development of UK fractional shares and ETF? And I can also see we have some folks asking that in the chat as well. So another popular one they're keen to hear.
It is something that we're working on at the moment, really understanding exactly that. I mean, it's quite a complex product. There's quite a lot that needs to go on about how you actually, because obviously the infrastructure of the stock market has not been built around fractional shares. So anyone that offers that has found effectively designed a way to go around that. And that's something that we're also working on at the moment. So we have our engineers exploring what that means. We've also been working with the London Stock Exchange to really get their insight on how they want to support that, because it's important that we partner with them. We're a member firm of the London Stock Exchange, so great relationship to have, and they're working with us to really facilitate that. So it's something that we're working our way through at the moment. Again, really important. We want to do that, build that technology ourselves, because that then gives us the ability to roll that out wherever we want. And that's the key thing, really. So by having and owning that technology, we can have that in any market that charges significant amounts for its shares. Not just the US, not just ETS, it could be anywhere in the world as we expand. So I don't have a timeline for when it's going to be delivered and completed. But I would say it's something that we're actively working on. We have regular conversations and a recurring meeting as we just explore the technical aspects and the legal aspects that are involved in how we facilitate fractional shares.
Questions and the big product stack that's out in the market. So on the JISAs, what is sort of the plan to introduce those, and if we have any sort of timelines for that as well? And I think we also have a sub question. If we, when we do launch them, will there be an induction to have one account managing both a JISA and an ISA as well?
So I mean, it's something that is on the roadmap. I'll go as far as saying we definitely want to have more tax efficient wrappers. We understand the benefit, and that it's an audience that's keen on junior ISAs. It makes a lot of sense. Not something that we are working on today, so I will be clear about that. In terms of, with one account managing an ISA and a junior ISA, not totally sure I know what that means, but assuming you can switch between the two, then certainly that's how I would see that working. So you can either be in your ISA, or you can be in your SIP, or you can be in your GIA, or you can be in the junior ISAs for which you are an administrator or a guardian.
Just to switch into the topic of new stocks, Victor, maybe you can share a little bit about European stocks and dollar-denominated ETFs and shares, and where we're at with that.
Cool, yeah, definitely. And just a side note, there are a lot of interesting questions on the chat. Maybe we can take a hard-hitting one as well, and kind of like amp up the temperature. Particularly Steven wants to know when he can retire in the Lake District. So that was a nice one. So in terms of new stocks, right? So that's always been the number one request. And basically we learned very early on that matters a great deal. Like we need, like, I guess, what I'm seeing with some fintechs is they probably don't appreciate that if you become like an actual investor, a habitual investor, you need that diversity, right? So we are going to add a lot of stocks. So next week we are going to add about 100. That's unrelated to the initiative that Sam mentioned. That's just like 100 more that we are getting from our US execution partner. But something leaked on the forum that, okay, let's acknowledge, let's give the community some exclusive news. So we are going to introduce ETFs and stocks that are USD denominated on the LSE. These are very interesting ETFs and companies. Think commodities such as copper or different metals. Not ARK, Cornell. That's unfortunately an American ETF. Just seeing on the chat, people keep asking about ARK. That's a different thing. That's an American ETF. There is the PRIP regulation that we have to follow. It has to have a KID in order for us to offer that here in the UK and Europe. American companies don't provide that. But there are USD denominated, very interesting ETFs that we are able to add. So I think someone on the forum discovered we were, creating threads for those. I wanted to keep it a secret, but there you go. That's an exclusive sort of info for you, and companies as well. So one of the companies that we are looking to add is Samsung. So that's been a major request for a very long time. So, but maybe let's not disclose too much in terms of what's coming in the next couple of weeks. I'm just like too excited. Let's give this, but
yeah,
it's going to be a very large universe this year. So we are all over that. We know that some stocks are painfully missing, and we are working on everything. Nationality declaration, we heard you all. That's something that we are going to look at implementing this year as well. That's what I have to say on the new stocks front.
Great. And how about crowdfunding? Can we expect a crowdfunding sometime?
Oh, well, absolutely. But I mean, like, please, like, filter it, like, understand, like, we have been constrained by regulation, right? So I think it's 8 million euros, which we translated to like 7 million pounds. That was the max that we could do last time. And we could have done more, obviously, and we would have done more, but we couldn't. This time around, so we're still constrained, so we have to wait for like 12 months, and we're going to do it again. This time, I think it's going to be pretty cool because we can do like the EU cap and we can do the GB cap. So like at least finally something good from Brexit. So we're going to do like 16 million probably, and we're looking at whether we do a prospectus or not, whether we do a SPAC or not, you know what I mean? So, but we're absolutely going to open up investment for our customers as we have from day one.
Exciting one, so we can dive onto that one and maybe take some live questions after.
Yeah, exactly. We'll dive into this quickly. So this one's for you as well, Duncan, back to you. So this is the big question, cryptocurrency. When do we plan on launching cryptocurrency?
Sure. So I'll be really quick, just conscious of time as well. So crypto is obviously it's an asset that we would like to have on the platform. It's something that we know there's a lot of requests. It's an exciting, still an exciting disruption of the finance industry fundamentally. So it's important, and it will become increasingly a part of a well-balanced portfolio. So it's something that up until this point, we've had to prioritize our efforts, as you know, and up until now, we've prioritized other things that have been more important. But it is something that we are looking at the moment. And it's something that I'm personally working on as well. So I've been involved in quite a few different conversations with some various parties on this. It is something, as I say, we're looking into actively exploring and starting on. So yeah, watch this space. I don't want to give any more away than that, but yeah, it's definitely something that we see as highly valuable and recognize the requests from the community.
Yeah, and if I could add some random founder comment, I've never bought any cryptocurrency, and I'm really looking forward to buying some Bitcoin or whatever on Freetrade. I've said this for about a year to Duncan, that's why he's laughing. But you know, we consider this like a new asset class. It's an emerging asset class, and real investors should have access to this asset class as a 1% or 5% or 0.5% of their portfolio. And that's what we're going to deliver. Questions?
How well do you sleep at night?
Oh, man. All right. I should not have given it to him. Jeffrey's like some billionaire. I'm just joking around, but he's very well versed in the fintech space. I think DraftKings, serious IPO. So one of our great angel investors. But Victor, come on, answer the question then.
Did I hear the question correctly, Jeffrey? Because it just might be that I'm tired, but what I heard was, how do you sleep at night? Is that correct?
How well do you guys sleep at night with all this stuff going on? Are you lying awake, or do you feel it's under control and obviously excited about the path forward, but do you feel it's manageable to deliver all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, if we did not think it was manageable, we would not do it. It's more like what it takes is pretty intense. So there is definitely a lot of intensity we need to have to deliver on our commitments and what we want to build. And honestly, the opportunity out there is gigantic. When Adam founded this company 5 years ago, investing neo brokers wasn't really a thing in Europe. We had this insight, and now it became gigantic with GameStop. That's like a world changer. Everyone's talking about investing. So the opportunity is huge. The intensity inside Freetrade is huge as well to deliver. So in terms of my sleep quality, I don't know what to tell you. It's not great, to be honest. There is always things, I go to sleep and I'm like, oh, that KPI, that customer turnaround time, what should we do, So yeah, I'm not sleeping.
No, Victor's sleep quality is not good enough, for sure. Mine is definitely not good enough. There was a good 2-week stretch where I was like literally working on West Coast time zones, and it's like, why the fuck am I awake at 5 a.m. kind of thing. And Victor is awake at 6 a.m. So that's a little bit of insight into the core team here. We're doing literally everything we can to move this company forward.
Listen, as a privileged member of the community who gets to speak on this call, I just want to say thank you guys. But we're sweating the business 24/7 in the community, watching, excited for you. But just work-life balance. Make time for your family, make time for yourselves, because we need you to keep this up for the next few years.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, man. Our swag, we want to send it out to everyone. This is the one from the French supplier that you're talking about, right? So we're going to send it out to everyone. You're going to get amazing swag as investors of Freetrade. And it's just slightly delayed, but it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for the next kind of batch. And I think Sean's probably on the call, I hope, still. And yeah, it's going to be next level, man.
Could you just reiterate what are the 3 bullet points for 2021 in terms of features, please?
I think that's time. I think we're out of time. Such a shame.
You know what? If Duncan doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. But I think Duncan wants to do it.
I mean, we've spoken about a bunch of things already in terms of crypto. We've spoken about autopilot being something that we want to focus on. Obviously, the biggest thing we're working on at the moment is European stocks and European rollout. That's dominating our time. The other thing, what I try to bring it back to, is refocusing in on what is the most important thing right now, and that's making sure that people, we respect people's trust for us. I don't want to just go over the same thing. I start to sound like Boris Johnson if I just try and spin it back around to what I said in the first place. But yeah, we are responsive to what customers are saying to us right now. That's where we have refocused some of our efforts. Europe is the other side of that we're spending all of our time on. I'm really pushing hard on that one, and it's a complex beast that we're working through as quickly as we can do. But the other things are the things I've spoken about. You know, they are the things I've spoken about tonight. So that's really what the 3 dots boil down to at the moment.
Yeah, and actually, even more exciting, there's actually more than 3 dots on there. I just screenshotted 3 of them, but there's actually more, so even better.
If I could close it off, to be honest, close it off on that topic, it was like we had 2 choices, really. We could concentrate on the UK and making the product better and addressing the problems that our existing users have 100%. Or we could be more ambitious and we could assume that we're going to do that, and we're also going to go to the UK. And we're going to go to Australia, and we're going to go to Canada, and we're going to go international. And what's the choice, or what's the mindset there? And clearly, that's what we're trying to communicate right now. Is we're going to do both. You know, we're going to solve the issues that we have in the UK, and we're honest about those issues, and we recognize them, and we're sorry for them. But we don't want to prevent that from allowing Sergey to have a free trade account in France. You know, we don't want to present, Victor's friends in Hungary that are like, oh man, I wish we had free trade here. We want to be there. And that's what we're prioritizing 2021. And that's kind of like the message.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Sergey.
Guys.
All right. We're out of time. We will do this regularly this year, maybe even in person once the situation gets back to normal. Thanks everyone for coming along, and we'll see you soon.